Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank
Yes,
Yes, you.
ma'am.
Ma'am. Okay. Let's wait for next 2 to 3 minutes. After that, I'll start. Can anyone please confirm whether you have got the video link? NPTEL has shared the link or not? Okay, they haven't shared. So I am sharing the link in the chat box. If anyone uh, want to see the previous video of last week, then you can go through this. I'm starting now. So, good evening everyone. I am Priya Tapwal. I am doing PhD under the supervision of Professor Sudeep Mishra at IIT Kharagpur. Today we will discuss the topic of week 2, and after that we will discuss some question like we did in the last week. So first of all, I am going to discuss about the working of DHCP, which is used to allocate the IP addresses to the various clients dynamically. So what happened is in the network there are various DHCP clients which want to access the IP address. So basically these clients which want some IP address sends request to the network where various DHCP servers are also there. So the request will be of broadcast type message. So this DHCP client will send a DHCP discovery message, and this message will be a broadcast message. So all the servers which are present in the network will receive this DHCP discovery message. Now in reply to this DHCP discovery message, this DHCP server or other DHCP server which are present in the network reply with the DHCP offer. So basically this DHCP offer message consists of the IP address which is proposed by this DHCP server. So basically whenever this message reach at DHCP client, so DHCP client accept this DHCP offer message, and after that in response to this DHCP offer, this DHCP client will send a DHCP request to DHCP server. So this message is a unicast message, and this message will be sent to a particular server from which this DHCP offer has been accepted. After that, in response to this DHCP request message, the server which has offered the client the IP address will reply with DHCP acknowledgement. If anyone want to say something, please unmute yourself and say, because I am not able to check your messages. Okay, voice is too low. Okay. Is my voice fine now? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we were at here. So in this way your DHCP server will allocate an IP address to your DHCP client. Now similarly there is one more method which is used to allocate dynamic IP address to your clients. So this is the name of the method is Slack. So now we will discuss the working of Slack. So in Slack what happened is the client which want to access the IP address use its MAC address. So basically this is the MAC address of the client, and after that in the MAC address it will append these two hex, that is FF and FE. So these append the client will append these two in between the MAC address. So it will be appended exactly after at the midpoint. So basically if this is the MAC address, so after 12 it is the midpoint. So here it will append FF and FE. So these are the hexadecimal number. Once it is done, then what your client will do is, for the first hex it will select the 7th bit and toggle that bit. For example, here the first hex is 70. So the representation of 70 in binary is this. So what it will do is, for the first hex it will take the 7th bit. So the 7th bit is 0. It will toggle that bit. Toggle means it will do the ones complement of that bit. So basically this 0 will become 1. Now the address will become 72 07 12 FF FE 34 56 78. Now what your client will do is it will check whether the address which is generated is duplicate or not. So for checking that whether the generated address is duplicate, your client will send a message to all the routers which are present in the network. So basically it will be the broadcast message. So what is the need of broadcasting the IP address which is generated? So basically if a router of that particular address is present in the network, then that will reply to your request. So basically that is the router solicitation message. So the router which have the particular IP address will reply to that message, and if it no router or no system has that particular IP address, then the client which want to take some IP address, consider the address which is generated by it, and after that it will again do appending. So so what was generated initially, it will again append a prefix to that. So the prefix is this. So these prefix are predefined. So basically your client will add these prefix to the generated IP address, and after that it will again check whether the generated address is duplicate or not. So it will again follow the same process which it followed previously. Now after discussing the working of DHCP and SLAAC, we will discuss the various protocols which are used by IoT in order to establish connection between each other, in order to exchange messages between themselves, and in order to manage the data, in order to identify the devices. So on the basis of these functionalities, the protocols which are used in IoT are categorized into these categories. So first category is connectivity based protocols. So the protocols which helps in establishing the connections between different IoT devices are called your connectivity protocol. And the example of your connectivity protocol are 6LoWPAN, your RPL. These are the example of your connectivity protocol. The second category is identification protocol. So basically these protocols are used to identify the different devices which are present in your network. The method which can be used in order to identify the devices can be your EPC, UCode, IPv6, URLs. So with the help of these you can identify different devices which are present in your network. The third category is your communication or transport protocol. So these type of protocols are helpful in establishing the communication between two devices, and the example of your communication protocols are Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LPWAN, and these. After that, discovery protocol. So in network there are various kind of services which are needed by your IoT devices. Okay, so in order to discover those services which are present, the protocols which are used by your IoT devices are called your discovery protocols, and the example of your discovery protocols are physical web, MDNS, DNS-SD. Okay, after that, data protocol. Now this data protocol are useful in exchanging information between your two devices. So basically a communication protocol is used to establish the communication between two devices, and data protocol will tell that how this exchange of messages or how the exchange of data will take place. Okay, so the example of your data protocols are MQTT, COAP, AMQP, WebSocket, Node. These are the examples. Now device management protocol. So in order to manage different devices which are present in your IoT network, as we need to update those devices, we need to find their location, we need to diagnose those devices. So the overall management of these devices are done by your device management protocols. The examples are TR069 and OMA-DM. Next one is your semantic protocol. So semantic protocol will regulate the application related aspects of communicating the IT systems. Examples are JSON LD, WebThing model, and the last type of protocols are multi-layer protocol. So these protocols basically lies in different layers. So these protocols spread across the different layers of the stack. So the examples are given here. Now we will discuss, as we are not able to discuss all these protocols in detail, so we will discuss some important protocols which are used in your IoT. So first of all, we will discuss about MQTT. So MQTT stands for your message queue telemetry transport. This is a data protocol. So basically it will decide that how your data will flow between your different IoT devices. Okay. So your MQTT protocol follow publish subscribe model. So what is this publish subscribe model? So in case of your publish subscribe model, there is one publisher who is going to generate the data, and there is one subscriber who is going to use that data. Okay, and in between your publisher and subscriber there will be one broker. So broker is a server which is going to provide the data to your subscriber. This broker will take the data from the publisher and further provide the data to your subscriber. So this publisher are the sensor which are going to generate the data. So the data which is generated by these sensors or publishers are sent to the broker. This broker is the server which is going to manage the data and further provide the data to various subscribers. These subscribers are the client which is going to utilize the data. Okay. Now consider an example where we have used a sensor in order to measure the level of the tank or level of the dam. Okay. So basically in that case we need the level of the water in order to detect that when to start the machine, and after that the other application might use the level of the water in order to decide that when to shut down the doors of your dam. Okay, so different application on the basis of their need wants the data of your sensor which will calculate the level of your dam. Okay, now what happen is the sensor will send the data to your server. It periodically sends the data to your server, and all the applications which have subscribed this service will get to know about the sensor data. Okay, so basically the message exchange between your publisher and broker will be this publish. So this publisher will publish the data to the broker. Further subscribe message means these different applications are going to subscribe for the particular service which is provided by this publisher, and further this broker will publish the same data to all the services which are present, to all the applications which are present in the network. Okay. Now these are the different types of messages which are used by your MQTT protocol. So first one is connect. So connect method is used in order to establish the connection between your different clients and your server. So basically in order to establish the connection between your subscriber, publisher and broker, connect message or method is used. The second one is disconnect. So in order to disconnect the connection, disconnect method is used. Third one is subscribe. So in order to subscribe a particular kind of service which is provided by your subscriber, subscribe method is used, and opposite to that unsubscribe will use to unsubscribe the particular service. The last method which is used by your MQTT is publish. So in this method the service which is provided by your subscriber will be published by your broker. Now MQTT applications. So basically your MQTT can be used by your Facebook Messenger, your Amazon Web Services in order to provide various services to IoT devices. Then your Microsoft Azure, after that everything IoT platform also use MQTT. Then your Adafruit also use MQTT. So okay, you can see this figure. So basically what happened is these are the different devices which subscribe to the service, and the service is to get the temperature value. Okay, so basically here is your here is your publisher. Basically this publisher is the temperature sensor which is going to publish the temperature value after regular interval of time. This is your MQTT broker. MQTT broker is the server which is going to further publish the service which is provided by your publisher to different subscriber. Okay, so whenever your temperature sensor will send the temperature value, it will further send the temperature value to all the devices which have subscribed to this temperature service. Now SMQTT. So SMQTT means secure MQTT. It is just an extension of your conventional MQTT. In SMQTT, it uses encryption based lightweight attribute. Okay, and after that the main advantage of this is whenever your this publisher will broadcast the service, or your broker will broadcast the message, it will use encryption in order to send the message. So basically the data which is sent by your SMQTT is more secure as compared to your MQTT. In SMQTT the main steps are setup phase, after that your encryption phase, then publish, then decryption. So basically setup phase is to establish the connection between different components of your MQTT, that is your broker, subscriber and publisher. Once the connection is established, then all the data which is sent by your publisher will be encrypted, and after that it is published to your subscribers, and once it reached at your subscriber end, the data will be decrypted again. Okay, these are the steps which I have mentioned in the previous slides only. And the key which is the key is common to all the components. So with the help of that key, the encryption and decryption will take place. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Actually, ma'am, so this thing we already saw it in the video lectures.
Yeah.
So it would be better. Actually, I am also concerned about the practical aspect of this thing. So the example that you have shown, right?
Yeah.
The temperature sensor, the sending, publishing the message, and the subscribers, the computer's laptop, they're receiving that message. That's fine. So if you show that practically, so actually I'm new to this field.
Yeah, actually
So
I don't
when I say
have the
temperature
hardware
sensor,
setup at my end, and I am directed only to solve the assignment questions and to give you the summary of all the video lectures. So
Okay.
yeah, that practical kind of thing I'm not able to show because I don't have hardware at my end.
Okay. So can we get that session actually? So can we have that session, practical session?
Practical session,
is it-
actually,
is
yeah,
it-
demos are included in your NPTEL videos only. So after 3-4 weeks, you will see those demos. So with the help of that, you can get to know. But at my end, it will be difficult because I don't have the hardware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you want, then I can skip the summary part and directly go to the questions if you don't want me to summarize these things.
Yeah, for me it is okay, but we have to think of others also, right? So
So okay, I'll
Please continue with the summary.
what?
Please continue with the summary.
Okay, I'm doing. Yeah. Next protocol is your COAP protocol. So COAP protocols stands for your Constrained Application Protocol, and it is a session layer protocol which is designed by your IETF, Constrained Restful Environment Working Group, to provide a lightweight RESTful interface. So basically this RESTful service is very heavy, and your IoT devices are resource constrained. So all the services which comes under your REST are not accessed by your IoT devices. That's why this IETF has developed COAP protocol. So this is used for lightweight applications and could result in and could prevent the overhead and the power consumption which is done by your REST. So COAP is designed to enable low power sensor to use the RESTful services while meeting their power constraints. Now your COAP architecture is basically divided into two sublayers. First one is your messaging and second one is your request response. So in case of your messaging sublayer, this sublayer is responsible for the reliability and the duplication of messages. For example, if some message is lost in your network, then this sublayer is responsible for sending those messages again. While your request and response sublayer is responsible for the communication of different IoT devices. Now the different types of messages that are exchanged between your IoT devices in case of your COAP is are categorized into these categories. First one is your confirmable, second one is your non-confirmable, third one is your piggyback, fourth one is your separate. Now first one is your confirmable. So as the name suggests, we, in case of these kinds of messages, we are going to get some confirmation. So whenever your connection is established between your client and server or between your two IoT devices, you are going to get acknowledgement for that connection. You are going to get some confirmation. However, in case of your non-confirmable kind of messages, you are not going to get any kind of confirmation or any kind of acknowledgement from your server. Now third type of message is piggyback. So piggyback, as we have already studied in your computer networks, it means we are also appending your data with your acknowledgement. So whenever your connection is established between your client and server will send acknowledgement, and along with your acknowledgement, your server will also send your data to the client. Now separate. So as the name suggests, here data will be sent separately to your client. So first of all, connection will be established. After that, we are going to get acknowledgement for that connection. Then there will be some time in between, and after that your server will send data to the client, and your client will again send acknowledgement to the server to tell that it has received the data. Now the features. So basically the overhead in case of your COAP is reduced. The parsing complexity is also less in case of your COAP. That's why it is suitable for your IoT devices. Further, it support URL and content type. Third feature is it support for the discovery of resources provided by your COAP services. Fourth one is simple subscription for a resource and resulting in push notification is also there. Then last one is there is also simple caching mechanism present in your COAP. Now the next type of protocol is your AMQP. The AMQP stands for Advanced Message Queuing Protocol. So basically this protocol is used to connect various applications that are taking place in an organization. So as this diagram is showing here, these are the different applications which are going to produce some data, and these are the different applications which are going to consume that data. Okay, so all the devices which are going to produce the data and all the devices which are going to consume the data are called clients, and the devices which are present in between these clients are called server or broker also. So these devices are useful for managing the data which is generated by your client applications. So basically what happened is these clients application are going to generate some data. This then after that data is sent to the server part. The server part are going to store the data, and further whenever required by your client application which is going to consume the data, this server will send the data to the particular client. In this AMQP, the basic unit of data is called frame. Now the applications where this AMQP can be used. So it can be used for monitoring and global update sharing. Further, it can be used for connecting different systems and processes to talk to each other. Then it allows servers to respond to the immediate request quickly and delegate time consuming tasks for later processing. After that, it can distribute a message to multiple recipients for consumption. Then it enable offline client to fetch data at a later time. The next one is it introduce fully asynchronous functionality for the system. It also increases reliability and uptime of application deployments. Now next protocol is your XMPP. It stands for Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol. So it is based on your XML. However, your XML is used to send unstructured data, whereas your XMPP is used to send the structured data. So it is an open standard protocol in which there is no central server which is going to manage the data. However, the data is distributed. Further, it is open standard, and it provides security by using different methods such as your authentication, encryption, and it also supports interoperability. So basically it is used to connect different devices or different IoT devices which are present over different networks. Okay, so as it supports interoperability, so it is helpful in exchanging the messages between the devices which are present in the different networks. Now the weakness of your XMPP. So your XMPP does not support quality of service. So it is not necessary whenever you are going to use your XMPP, it is not always necessary that the clients are going to get the services in a reliable manner. Okay. And the second weakness of XMPP is that only text-based communication are used in this, and also these text-based communication are responsible for higher overheads. The third weakness is binary data must be first encoded into your base 64 before transmitting. The applications are it can be used in your publish subscribe systems such as in your MQTT. After that, it is used in signaling for VoIP, then in videos, then file transfer, gaming, then and in case of your Internet of Things, it can be used in your smart grid, social networking services, and etc. Now the next protocol is your IEEE 802.15.4. So it is used for low data rate and used to transfer data wirelessly over your personal area network, and it is developed for low data rate monitoring and control application and extended life low power consumption uses. This standard uses only first two layer and it operates in ISM band. Next, Zigbee is only the enhancement of your IEEE 802.15.4. It is present over layer 3 and the above layer, and further these enhancements include authentication. So basically your Zigbee also provide in authentications of the nodes which are present in the network. It also provide encryption to the data and further use data routing. So basically this figure is showing the different topologies which are used by your Zigbee protocol. So first topology is the star topology. So in case of your star topology, there is one coordinator and all the IoT devices are going to connect or going to interact with each other with the help of that coordinator. So basically if this node wants to send data to this nodes, then it first send data to the coordinator, and then after this coordinator will send data to this device. Now the next kind of topology is your cluster tree topology. In case of your cluster tree topology, all the IoT devices are connected to a router, and further these routers are connected to the coordinator device. So basically in this diagram, as you can see that green nodes, this green circle are your IoT devices. These are connected to the routers, and further these routers are connected to your coordinator, and the communication between these IoT devices can take place through this coordinator only. So if the IoT devices are present in the single network only, for example these two devices, so these can communicate with your router. However, if these are present in different networks, then the communication will take place through your coordinator. Now third topology is your mesh topology. So in case of your mesh topology, any device can be connected to the other device. So for example here different devices are connected to the routers, so these routers are further connected to routers also, and your coordinators also. So in case of a mesh topology, any device can send data to any other device. Now the applications of ZigBee. So for building automations, ZigBee can be used for remote control applications. It can be used in case of smart energy for your home monitoring, ZigBee can be used. Then for healthcare, home automation, lighting for LED lighting, in case of your LED lighting, ZigBee can be used. Then for telecom services, your ZigBee can be used. Now the next protocol is your 6LoWPAN. So basically 6LoWPAN is your low power wireless personal area network which run over your IPv6 protocol. So it allows different small devices which have limited processing power, basically the resource constrained devices, to transmit information wirelessly. Okay, and it allows this IEEE 802.15.4 radios to carry 128-bit addresses of your IPv6 version. In case of your 6LoWPAN, the header compression and address translation is done. After that, the data and the IPv6 packets are also compressed before sending to the other device. The uses include your in case of your IoT, smart grid, your M2M application, your 6LoWPAN is used. Now the routing protocols which are used in case of your 6LoWPAN are LoadNG, and the second routing protocol is your RPL. So this your LoadNG is derived from your AODV protocol, which is used in your which you must have studied in your computer networks course. So in the operation of your LoadNG is, first of all the nodes generate the route request. After that, once the route request is generated by first of all route request is generated in order to discover the route. Then these messages, that is your route request messages, are sent by your router. Then once these messages will reach at the destination node, then the destination node will reply with the complete path which is followed by your route request. So in this way, the particular node which want to send data to the destination get to know about the path that it should follow in order to send the data. Yeah. So in case of your LoadNG, if the route is detected to be broken, then route error message is returned from that particular point to the originator of the data packet, so that it can get to know about the breakage of that path. So this method used optimized flooding in order to know the path through which data should be sent. After that, only the destination is permitted to respond to route request messages. So the nodes which are present in between cannot reply to the route request message. The intermediate LoadNG routers are explicitly prohibited from responding to the route request messages, and your route request messages are generated by a given LoadNG router. Now the second type of protocol which is used is your RPL protocol. So RPL stands for your routing protocol for lossy and low power networks. So it is it use distance vector. It is similar to distance vector protocol, which is there in your computer networks. So basically your RPL protocol, what is it do is it will the node which wants to know about the path for sending data will generate a acyclic graph, and further utilize that acyclic graph in order to send the data. Now it is both proactive as well as reactive. So proactive means it is maintaining the routing topology and use that topology for sending the data, and reactives mean whenever some inconsistency occurs in the network, that then it is going to resolve that inconsistency. Further, the objectives of RPL is to minimize the energy in order to send the data, minimize the latency, and it also satisfy various other constraints such as your node power, bandwidth, etc. RPL operation require bidirectional links. So basically, in case of your RPL, the links are bidirectional. So data can go back and in back and forth direction. In some LLN scenarios, those links may exhibit asymmetric properties. It is required that the reachability of router be verified before the router can be used as a parent. So whenever this acyclic graphs are generated, so before selecting the parent node, its identity should be verified first. Now the next protocol is your RFID. So it stands for radio frequency identification, and the data is basically encoded in your RFID tags, and further the readers are used in order to read those tags. So basically the operation of your RFID is on the tag also there is a magnetic field, and your reader, RFID reader, also generates some magnetic field. So whenever you put your reader closer to your RFID tag, there is some interaction between your both magnetic field, with the help of which your reader will get to know about the data which is encoded over your RFID tag. Basically your tags may be passive or active. So in case of your passive RFID tag, which are mostly used, okay, wait. Okay, so your passive tags are powered in order to send data. So passive tags require power. However, in case of your active tags, the need of power is not there. Now the application. So in case of your inventory management, you can use RFID. So on every product you can put RFID tags, and with the help of those tags you can identify various products. Then for your asset tracking, your personal tracking, you can use RFIDs just by putting RFID tags. Then controlling access to your restricted areas, you can use RFIDs. Then for your ID badging, for your supply chain management also you can use RFID. Then your counterfeit prevention, you can use RFID. Now the questions. So first question is, which of the following is not a data and communication protocol? Options are MQTT, AMQP, WebSocket, LON. Anyone? No? This thing I have just mentioned, that different kinds of data and communication protocol.
LON.
Yeah, right. So basically your this MQTT, AMQP and WebSockets are your data and communication protocol. This MQTT and AMQP is your data protocol. However, your WebSocket, but all the three are your data protocols. However, your LON is your multi-layer protocol. Next question is which of the following AMQP frame type is used to inform the changes in the state of transfer? Options are flow, disposition, transfer, state. Anyone? No? Okay. So basically in case of your AMQP, these are the different types of frames. So first one is your open. So in order to open the connection, this open frame is used. Then in order to start the session between two devices, your begin frame is used. And after that, in order to initiate a new link between two devices, then this attach frame is used. For sending the data, transfer frame is used. Then for control messages, your flow frame is used, and your disposition frame is used for informing the changes in the state of transfer. Your detach frame is used to terminate the link. Your end frame is used to terminate the session, and your close frame is used in order to terminate your connection. So basically this open is related to close. So whenever you open a connection, you have to close that connection. This end is related to begin, detach is related to attach, and all other are responsible for for managing your control messages, for sending data, and for informing the change in the state of the transfer. So question was that which of the following is responsible to inform the changes in the state of transfer. So the correct option for this is disposition. Now third question is which of the following is not a messaging mode of COAP? Options are separate, pager, piggyback, confirmable. Anyone?
Separate and piggyback.
These are the messaging mode, right?
Separate and piggyback.
No.
Pager.
Yeah, pager. Because in case of your COAP, all these confirmable, non-confirmable, piggyback, separate, these are the 4 different types of messages which are used. However, your pager is not used. So I have already explained this, that in case of your confirmable, you will get some confirmation or acknowledgement for your message. In case of your non-confirmable, you are not going to get any confirmation. Then in case of your piggybacking, along with your confirmation or acknowledgement, you are getting data. And in case of your separate, the data is sent separately to the client. So this pager is not a messaging mode in your COAP. Next question is the ZigBee component APS stand for. Options are application support supplier, application protocol support, application policy support, application protocol supplier.
Application support supplier.
Right. And this is responsible for interfacing and controlling the services and further bridging the network and other layer. So this component is responsible for these 2 functionalities. Now question number 5th is, does IEEE 802.15.4 support IPv6 multicasting? Yes or no? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Your IEEE 802.15.4 does not support IPv6 multicasting. Next question, question number 6 is in MQTT, a blank subscribes to a topic. Options are client, broker, publisher, all of the above.
Option D, all of the above.
Client subscribes.
Yeah, client subscribe. Client means the subscriber which is going to subscribe to a particular service. So this is a publish subscribe model. So these are the clients which are going to subscribe to a particular topic. Now question number 7. Wait, I think someone is trying to join. Screen is not visible. Now it was visible or not?
Visible, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So question number 7 is, which of the following is a characteristic of XMPP protocol? Options are no interoperability, closed standards, no central server, all of the above. Anyone? We have discussed the features of your XMPP protocol. In your XMPP protocol, there is no central server, right? So these are the features. So XMPP is a decentralized, there is no central server. So anyone can run their own XMPP server in case of your XMPP. So correct option is no central server. Next question is, which of the following has a component named bindings? Options are XMPP, AMQP, COAP, none of the above.
AMQP.
All of the above. Are you sure?
AMQP, right?
Yeah,
So
AMQP.
the bind to the queue.
Yeah, right. So in case of your AMQP, there are three main components. First one is your exchange, second one is your queue, third one is your bindings. So the role of exchange, so it is a part of broker and it receives messages and further route them to the queue, which are going to store those messages. Then second one is your queue. So this queue will store your messages which are sent by your exchange. And after that, your binding. So binding are the rules for distributing the messages. So these bindings will tell that how we are going to send the messages, who are the ones who are going to access those messages, what will be the destination. All those things are maintained by these rules and these are called your bindings.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So in the last example that we have discussed, right? So in the temperature sensor. So in that case, can we use that MQP? So whenever that sensor publishes, so pushes the temperature information to the queue, so it will automatically be
Yeah, in
notified
that
to the
case you can
client.
use AMQP.
But
That is the,
in
I
that-
have
in
given that
example,
example. I have given that example for your. Okay, wait. In case of your AMQP, both publish, subscribe and request response is available, right? So in you can use this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So in compared to MQTT, MQP would be better, right?
Yeah. So depending upon the application where you are going to use the protocols, you will decide that which protocol is suitable. Now next question is COAP RESTful? Options are yes or no. So RESTful mean ki is your COAP provide the services which are under your RESTful.
No, I think.
Right? Why COAP was
No.
developed?
COAP, yes.
Yes, because the main purpose behind the development of
Yes.
your COAP was that only so that your IoT devices, which are your
Application
resource constrained devices, can use your RESTful services, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's why your COAP is your RESTful. So all the services which are under your RESTful are provided by your COAP only to the IoT devices. Next question is RPL routing is based upon blank routing protocol. Options are enhanced interior gateway. Second option is interior gateway. Third one is open shortest path first, and fourth one is distance vector IPv6. These things I have discussed just now.
Distance vector IPv6.
Yeah, right. So these are the features of your RPL. So this is the full form of your RPL. It is proactive and it follows your distance vector protocol. Now question number 11. Which of the following protocol is used to implement device management for mobile devices? Options are OMA-DM, WebSocket, LON, DNS, SD. This thing I have mentioned when I categorize different protocols on the
A.
basis of
OMA-DM.
Right. So your OMA-DM is a protocol specified by Open Mobile Alliance, and it often used in the context of complex structure mobile solution. It is often preferred by service provider to implement device management for your mobile devices. Next question is in load ng can intermediate router respond to route request? Options are yes in any case, yes only when this request flooding occur, then only if they have active routes to the south destination, and last one is no. Whether intermediate can reply to your route request message or not. Just discuss.
No.
Right, no. Question number 13 is which of the following functions as the network bridge in IEEE 802.15.4 network? Options are PAN coordinator, router, device, none of the above. Anyone? These are from your NPTEL, those videos which are present there. Okay. So correct option for this is your PAN coordinator. So in case of your IEEE 802.15.4 network, it has a minimum of one coordinator device type which will act as a root, and it also function as the network bridge. So this coordinator device is called your PAN coordinator, and it performs the function of your data handling and storing operations. Now next question is which of the following allow communication between your ZigBee and no ZigBee devices? Options are layer 5 application level bridge. Second option is layer 7 application level gateway. Third option is layer 7 application level bridge. Fourth option is layer 5 application level gateway. Anyone? So correct option for this is layer 7 application level gateway. So in order to enable the communication between your ZigBee and no ZigBee devices, layer 7 application gateway has to be created, and this creation is very complex process. Now question number 15. So first statement is RFIDs are radio frequency based. Second statement is RFID devices can act as both reader as well as tags. So the question is which of the following statement is correct? So first statement is statement 1 is true but statement 2 is false. Second option is statement 1 is false but statement 2 is true. Third is both statements are true. Fourth one is both statements are false. Anyone?
D.
Both statements are false. RFID is not based on radio frequency.
Both are.
What is the full form of
Both are-
RFID?
B.
B. Statement 1 is false but statement 2 is true.
Radio frequency.
What Can you please
that,
repeat
that
the
reader is also RFID based, right? So when the tag has that tag emits that radio frequency, and the reader is sensing that, right? So both are RFID based, right?
Huh. So what should be the answer?
See,
What?
First one is correct. Statement one is correct, but uh, uh, both both statements are.
Both statements are correct. So RFID devices can act as both readers as well as tags. So where you have seen that, because RFID tags are present on various products. So are you able to read with those tags also? No, na? We need some reader in order to read those tags. Right?
Yes.
So RFID readers are different things, and RFID tags are the tags which are present over various products. You can see over various products which are available in the market. These are similar to your QR codes only. So RFID tags are just those line things which are present over the products. Have you seen those? On electronics devices, you will find RFID tags mostly.
Even the car, the FASTag tags, right? They are RFID based.
What?
In the cars, in the vehicles, right? So
In vehicles also.
that FASTag.
Yeah. RFID tags are there for tolls also. They use RFID tags now. Yeah. Next question is, in AMQP, which of the following functionality defines its component exchange? Options are linkage between various queues. Option B is receive messages from various queues. Third is define rules for message routing to various queues. And last one is routing the messages to various queues. So exchange is used for I've just discussed the three components of AMQP. Okay. So correct option is this exchange is used to route the messages to various queues. Now question number 17. Which of the following is designed to have low overhead and better scalability in terms of dense networks? Options are LOAD-NG, second one is your RPL, third is your both LOAD-NG and RPL, fourth one is AODB. Anyone?
RPL.
What? B. RPL. Yeah. So in case of your RPL, there is a low overhead and better scalability. We have discussed this thing in the features of RPL. Next one is, which of the following AMQP frame type control the message flow rate? Options are transfer, flow, control, disposition.
Flow.
Right. Your flow frame is responsible for controlling the message flow rate. Next question is, does 6LoWPAN allow interoperability between IEEE 802.15.4 based wireless devices and other IP based devices? Yes or no? So basically it's the question is, 6LoWPAN provide interoperability or not? Anyone?
No idea, madam.
Okay. Yeah. Your 6LoWPAN provide interoperability. We have discussed this thing in the features of 6LoWPAN, that it is responsible for providing interoperability. Next question is, does MQTT support event driven architecture? Yes or no? Correct option is no. So basically this MQTT is based on your publish subscribe model, which is a event driven only. So it enable messages to be pushed to your client whenever some events will take place. Next question is, which of the following is an acronym for Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol? Options are EMPP, XMLP, XMPP, fourth one is XMP.
C.
C, right. Next question is, okay, an IoT network require communication mechanism which is capable of synchronous as well as asynchronous communication. The mechanism should support both request response as well as publish subscribe model. Which of the following protocol would be best suited for such mechanism? Options are AMQP, COAP, MQTT, none of the above.
Option C.
Option?
C.
But option C is MQTT, and MQTT is only publish subscribe. We need both request response as well as publish subscribe.
B. COAP.
Right, COAP. So basically this COAP is suitable in both cases, whenever we require request response or whenever we require publish subscribe kind of thing. Next question is, which of the following technique is used to transmit data frames in beacon enabled IEEE 802.15.4 networks? Options are unslotted CSMA CA, second option is slotted CSMA CA, third is unslotted CSMA CD, then fourth one is slotted CSMA CD. Anyone? So correct option for this is slotted CSMA CA. So the periodic transmission of beacon messages characterize the beacon enabled network, and the data frames are sent by a slotted CSMA CA with a super frame structure managed by your personal area network coordinator. Next question is, what is the maximum size of hop limit in 6-LoWPAN packet format? Options are 8-bit unsigned integer, second option is 16-bit unsigned integer, third one is 8-bit signed integer, and fourth one is 16-bit signed integer. Anyone? Okay. So the correct option for this is 8-bit unsigned integer. So in case of your 6-LoWPAN, 8-bit are used, which in order to define the hop limit, and further this hop value get decremented by 1 whenever this packet forwards from one hop to another, and whenever this hop value becomes 0, we have to discard the packet. Next question is, in context of XMPP, which of the following correctly define BOSH? Options are XML streaming, HTTP binding, both XML streaming and HTTP binding, and last one is binary encoding. Anyone? Correct option for this is HTTP binding. So these are the questions. Okay, so any doubt regarding this? Any doubt regarding the topics of week 1 or week 2?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I do?
Yeah, you may leave. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, those who want to leave may leave, and those who have just joined, I can repeat the questions which we have done today. So all others may please leave. Those who have just joined, please stay here. I'll again repeat the same questions which we have done today. So those who have just joined few minutes back, please stay here, and other please leave. Okay, so I'm again sharing my screen. Now I'm not going to give the summary of the topics which we have done in week 2. I'm just going to discuss the questions only. Okay, so first question is I want you to respond for the questions, and if you are not able to, then I'll reply. So first question is, which of the following is not a data and communication protocol? Options are MQTT, second option is AMQP, third one is WebSocket, fourth one is LOI. Anyone? No? Okay, so basically these are the different kinds of protocols which are used in your IoT, and depending upon the functionality of these protocols, we are going to categorize them. So the question is that which of the following is not a data and communication protocol? So these are your data protocols. So the examples of your data protocols are MQTT, COAP, AMQP, WebSocket and Node. However, your LOIN is your multi-layer framework. Okay, so the correct option for your question number 1 is LOIN. Wait, someone is trying to join. Okay, can we get the presentation PDF for future? Yeah, I have actually uploaded this material to NPTEL. I have already forwarded them, so they will upload these things and you will get from them. Or yeah, I can also share the link with you. I have uploaded that on Google Drive. Next time in the next session, I'll share the link with you. Okay, so correct option for this is your LOIN. Second question is, which of the following AMQP frame type is used to inform the changes in state of transfer? Options are flow, disposition, transfer, state. Anyone?
Disposition.
Right, disposition. So basically these are the different types of frames which are used by your AMQP. And this open frame is used to open the connection between two devices. Then in order to begin the session between the devices, begin frame is used. Then in order to initiate a new link, attach frame is used. And then for transferring the messages between the devices, transfer frame is used. And in order to control the flow rate, flow frame is used. Then disposition is used to inform the changes in the state of transfer. Detach frame is used to terminate the link. It is opposite to your attach frame. Then your end is used to close the session. This is just opposite to your begin. And close is used to terminate the connection which is created by your open frame. So the correct option for this question is disposition. Next question is, which of the following is not a messaging mode of COAP? Options are separate, pager, piggyback, confirmable.
B.
B, right, pager. So basically in case of your COAP, there are 4 types of messages: confirmable, non-confirmable, piggyback, separate. So in case of your confirmable kind of messages, what happened is, for every messages you are going to get some confirmation or acknowledgement. However, in case of your non-confirmable kind of messages, there is no confirmation, as you can see in this diagram. So message is sent, but you are not going to get any confirmation. Someone is trying to. The next type of message is your piggyback. In case of your piggyback message, so along with your confirmation or acknowledgement, the server is going to send the data also. However, in case of your separate kind of messages, initially the connection is established, then server will send some acknowledgement for that establishment of connection. Then it will wait for some time, and after that it will send data, and your client will respond back to your server in order to tell him that it has received the data. So it will again send acknowledgement to the server. So correct. So this pager is not a messaging mode in your COAP. The next question is, ZigBee component APS stand for application support sublayer, application protocol support, application policy support, application protocol sublayer. Anyone? No? Okay. So your APS stand for your application support sublayer, and this sublayer is responsible for interfacing and providing the control services. It also bridge between the network and other layer. It also acts as a bridge between your network and other layer. The next question is your ZigBee okay, this is the same question. Next question is, does IEEE 802.15.4 support IPv6 multicasting or not? Options are yes or no.
Yes.
Does it support? Are you sure? No, your IEEE 802.15.4 does not support IPv6 multicasting. Next question is, in MQTT, a blank subscribes to a topic. Options are client, broker, publisher, all of the above. Anyone? No? Okay. So basically your this MQTT is based on your publish subscribe model, and this publish subscribe model consists of 3 components. First one is your publisher, second one is your broker, and third one is your subscriber. Okay. So publisher are the sensors which are going to generate the data and further publish that data to the broker. This broker is the server which is going to manage the data which is produced by your publisher, and further on the basis of subscription which is taken by your subscriber, it is going to further going to publish the data. For example, consider an example of a temperature sensor. Okay, so consider this temperature sensor will be your publisher, which is going to generate the temperature value by sensing the environment and publish that temperature value to your broker. However, your subscribers are different devices which are using different applications. So these devices subscribes to that temperature service. Okay, so this broker is going to provide that temperature value to your subscribers. So these subscribers are the clients which are going to take the temperature value from your broker. So correct option for this is your client. Next question is, which of the following is a characteristic of XMPP protocol? Options are no interoperability, second option is closed standard, third one is no central server, fourth is all of the above. Anyone? No? Okay. So these are the features of your XMPP. So this your XMPP stands for Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol. So it is a communication protocol for message oriented middleware which is based on your XML. Your XML is responsible for the exchange of your structured data. However, your this XMPP is responsible for the real-time exchange of your structured data. It is an open standard protocol. It means that there is no royalties used whenever you are going to use XMPP. It is decentralized. There is no central server. Anyone can run their own XMPP server. Then it is open standard. Yeah, we have discussed this. It provides security by using different methods such as authentication, encryption. It is also flexible. It supports interoperability. Okay. So the question was, which of the following is not a characteristics of XMPP? So there is interoperability in XMPP, it is open standard and no central server. So in case of your XMPP, there is no central server. Next question is, which of the following protocol has a component name bindings? Options are, anyone trying to say something? Your voice is breaking. I'm not getting what you are trying to say. Can you please write? Who was trying to say? I didn't get what you were saying. Should I start, or you are writing in chat box? Question is, which of the following protocol has component named bindings? Options are XMPP, AMQP, COAP, none of the above. Anyone? Anyone who want to answer for this? Which of the following protocol has component named bindings? Options are XMPP, AMQP, COAP, none of the above.
AMQP.
AMQP. Right. So this AMQP has three components: exchange, queue, binding. So exchange is a part of broker which receive messages and further route them to the queue. Queue is used to store the messages, and further bindings are the rules which are responsible for distributing the messages. So these rules will decide that who can access the messages, what can be the destination of the messages. All those things are decided by your bindings. Next question is COAP restful? Options are yes or no.
Yes.
Yes, right. So basically your COAP was only developed in order to provide restful services to your IoT devices, because your restful services are require lots of resources, right? And your IoT devices are resource constrained. So basically in order to use these services, it will be difficult for your IoT devices. So that's why COAP was designed, so that all the restful services can be used by your IoT devices. So this your COAP is restful. Next question is RPL routing is based upon blank routing protocol. Options are enhanced interior gateway, open shortest path first. Last option is distance vector IPv6. Anyone? No? Okay. So this RPL is based on your distance vector IPv6. So these are the features of RPL routing protocol. RPL stands for your low power routing protocol for low power and lossy networks. It is a proactive protocol, and it uses IPv6 distance vector. Next question is which of the following protocol is used to implement device management for mobile devices? Options are OMADM, WebSocket, LON, DNS-SD. Anyone? This is from the slide where all the protocols are listed out. No? Okay. So correct option for this is OMADM. So this protocol is specified by Open Mobile Alliance, and it is often used in the context of your complex structured mobile solution. It is preferred by service provider in order to implement the device management of your mobile devices. Next question is in LoadNG, can intermediate router respond to route requests? Options are yes in any case. Second one is yes only when a route request flooding occurs. Third is yes only if they have active route to the south destination, and fourth one is no. Anyone? Okay. So in case of your LoadNG, the intermediate routers are not allowed to respond to the route request messages. Only the destination nodes to which the data is forwarded can reply to these messages. So the correct option for this is no. Question number 13 is which of the following function as the network bridge in IEEE 802.15.4 network? Options are PAN coordinator, option 2 is router, third one is device, and fourth one is none of these. Anyone? No? Okay. So correct option for this is PAN coordinator. So in case of your IEEE 802.15.4, this network has minimum one coordinator device which will act as your root, and it also function as your network bridge. So this device is responsible for managing the data and also for storing the data. Okay. Next question is, which of the following allow communication between ZigBee and no ZigBee devices? Options are layer 5 application level bridge, second option is layer 7 application level gateway, third option is layer 7 application level bridge, last option is layer 5 application level gateway. Anyone? Okay, so correct option for this is layer 7 application level gateway. So basically, in order to make the communication between your ZigBee and no ZigBee devices, there is a need of application level gateway of layer 7, and the creation of this gateway is a quite complex process. Next question is, so basically there are two statements. First statement is RFIDs are radio frequency based, and the second statement is RFID devices can act as both reader as well as tags. So which of the following is correct? Option A is statement 1 is true but statement 2 is false. Second, statement 1 is true but statement 2 is false, right? So your RFID is based on radio frequency, however the reader should be different and tag should be different in case of your RFID. Next question is, in AMQP, which of the following functionality defines the component exchange? Options are linkage between various queues, second is receive messages from various queues, third is define rules for message routing to various queues, and fourth one is routing the messages to various queues. Anyone? We have discussed this while we were discussing some question on AMQP. The components of AMQP binding, I guess. There we have discussed about exchange. No? Okay. So correct option for this routing is routing the messages to various queues. So this exchange is responsible for routing the messages to various queues. Next question is, which of the following is designed to have low overhead and better scalability in terms of dense networks? Options are LOAD-NG, second is RPL, third one is both LOAD-NG and RPL, fourth one is AODV. Anyone? No? So the correct option for this question is RPL. So this RPL is designed to have low overhead and better scalability in case of your dense networks. Next question is, which of the following AMQP frame controls the message flow rate? Options are transfer, flow, control, disposition.
Flow.
Right, flow. Next question is, does 6LoWPAN allow interoperability between IEEE 802.15.4 based wireless devices and other IP based devices? Options are yes or no. So correct option for this is yes. Next question is, does MQTT support event driven architecture? Options are yes or no. Does MQTT support event-driven architecture? The correct option for this is yes. Basically, your MQTT is based on your publish subscribe model, and this publish subscribe model is your event driven. Okay, so whenever some event will occur, your publisher will send the data, and your broker is further going to broadcast the data to all the subscribers which have subscribed to that particular service. Next question is, which of the following is the acronym for Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol? Options are EMPP, second option is XMLP, third is XMPP, and fourth one is XMP.
C.
Right. Next question is, an IoT network requires communication mechanism which is capable of synchronous as well as asynchronous communication. The mechanism should support both request response as well as publish subscribe model. So which of the following protocol is best suited for this mechanism? Options are AMQP, COAP, MQTT, none of the above. Anyone?
B.
B, right. So your right. So COAP is based on your both request response as well as your publish subscribe model. Next question is, which of the following technique is used to transmit data frames in beacon enabled IEEE 802.15.4 networks? Options are unslotted CSMA CA, second option is slotted CSMA CA, third option is slotted CSMA CD, and fourth one is slotted CSMA CA CD.
B. Slotted CSMA CA.
Right. Question number 24 is, what is the maximum size of hop limit in 6 low pan packet format? Options are 8-bit unsigned integer, second option is 16-bit unsigned integer, third is
8-bit unsigned integer.
right, 8-bit unsigned integer. So basically we'll put the hop limit in that, and whenever we forward the data, the value of hop get decremented every time whenever it passes through one hop. Next question is, in context of XMPP, which of the following correctly define BOSH? Options are XML streaming, HTTP binding, both XML streaming and HTTP binding. Last one is binary encoding.
B.
B, right. HTTP binding is the correct option. So these were the questions of your week 2. So anyone has any doubt? Or anyone want to discuss something of week 2? Any doubt? No? You want to ask some question related to the topics of week 2? Anyone? We have roughly 20 minutes, so if you want me to discuss any topic, you can suggest. No? Okay, so have you got the link for previous video, week 1 video? Those who have joined late. I'm sharing the link of the video which we have discussed in week 1 in the chat box. You can follow that link, and I'll also share this link of today's video in the next week, and I'll also share the material to you next week. Any other question which you want to ask related to any topic of week 2? Or those who have joined late, do you want me to discuss the questions again? Please reply, otherwise I will not get to know what you want. All clear? Okay, okay, then you may leave now. Okay, so those who are here, do you want to discuss something, or do you want me to discuss the assignment again, or anything else? Any question related to week 2, the topics of week 2? Okay, so those who have joined late, we have covered the topics of week 2 and we have already discussed the assignment questions. Now if you have any doubt related to any topic of week 2, you can ask me, or if you want me to discuss the assignment question again, then I can discuss those also. So please reply back whatever you want, I'll do that. If you will not respond, then I am going to terminate today's session. No question? Okay, then I am terminating. Thank you.